Let us help you experience the wonders of the world, whether near or far. With 30 hotel brands and endless experiences, where can we take you? Marriott Bonvoy. Tap to explore our 30 hotel brands.
Our great mate Sharri Markson gave a briefing about her book and her investigations into Wuhan to the US Congress in the past couple of days. Here in part is what she had to say.
Australia does play a unique role in the global debate about the origins of the pandemic, seeing as our Prime Minister was the first world leader to call for an independent inquiry into the origins of COVID-19. As many of you would know, the Australian government and specifically Australian exporters of goods have suffered extreme retaliation from the Chinese government for demanding such a standard call, for demanding the world examine how this virus started.
Sharri Markson joins us now, of course, writer of the Australian, host here at Sky News, and owner of some lovely flowers in the background of the home studio. What was that experience like to tell the American politicians what we've seen in the documentary, read in the book, and you've been building for a long time?
Good evening, Paul. Well, it's funny because when you've been reporting and covering a topic for such a long period of time, you think that everybody knows the story by now. You know, we showed it all in the documentary, and we've done so many stories in the Australian, but it's a new audience, and many people are slow to understand just how conflicted many of the scientists have been behind the scenes, why the World Health Organization was inadequate, and even why Anthony Fauci needs to be subpoenaed. This is something that's extraordinary to all of us, that this still hasn't happened. The NIH records still haven't been subpoenaed. They're still not public. And this is because Congress isn't demanding that this happen. The Democrats are not on board. One of the congresswomen who was part of the congressional briefing this morning, she's the lead Republican on the committee, the House and Energy Commerce Committee, that's leading the push to investigate the origins of the pandemic. And she said she's been trying to get her Democrat counterparts on board because they have the majority in Congress and in the committee. And so she needs them to support any subpoenas that would be issued to Anthony Fauci. And the reality is he's still a protected species, even though we know the NIH has a lot more detailed information than they're making public about the type of coronavirus research that was happening at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and they're deliberately not being transparent.
Well, think about every person who got dragged before a Democratic committee hearings in the House about the perfectly correct phone call with the Ukrainian leader, of course, in the United States with Trump. But, you know, this scenario, it's all hands off. Here in part is what that Congresswoman had to say.
Understanding the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic is the public health question of our time. To prevent future pandemics and all of the death and destruction that comes with it, we must learn how this one began. We're not going to leave any stone unturned in our pursuit of the truth. And what we've seen is recent developments are demonstrating how important it is that we continue to push NIH to be fully transparent about the risks that they were taking in funding the Wuhan lab. It is clear that NIH did not do a careful assessment as to the risk and the benefits of this risky research.
Now, again, extraordinary that something as blatantly obvious as this, where the receipts have been produced by yourself in the paper, on the air, in the book, and what you were able to present today, it just doesn't move one side of the aisle because, as you say, he is a protected species. He's been kept over from the Trump administration, despite the fact that the fingerprints have been well and truly proven.
Absolutely. Even just the emails last week that emerged where Peter Daszak from EcoHealth Alliance was emailing a senior NIH official in 2016 saying, that's terrific, thank you so much for lifting our pause or ban on gain-of-function research. And yet you saw Anthony Fauci in the stand in front of Rand Paul saying, we never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. It's just nonsense. So it's you know, and the problem is Joe Biden promised transparency on this issue. He said, this is such an important issue. I will make everything public. We will be transparent. And Paul, as you know, I'm not approaching this from a political issue. This isn't about me criticizing Joe Biden. But the reality is he's not being transparent on this. And they're protecting Anthony Fauci because he played a role in criticizing Trump last year and coming out against Trump. He's become this icon of the left. I mean, even Leonardo DiCaprio praised him last year during the pandemic in an episode on mainstream television. So he's just become, this icon, when the reality is that funding from his agency in all likelihood contributed to research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology that probably led to this pandemic. And that's, we're seeing more and more evidence of it all the time. You know, just one more example is an EcoHealth Alliance proposal that was sent to DARPA. It's a defense agency in the US. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to insert furin cleavage sites into bat coronaviruses. Wow. You know, it's the furin cleavage site from COVID-19, from SARS-CoV-2, that makes it so infectious to humans, that makes scientists think this has been lab engineered. And this is exactly the type of research that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was proposing to do, and they were seeking a $14 million grant to do it.
Shari, you're a rock star. Love reading, love seeing, and now that we're free, looking forward to seeing you face-to-face sometime very soon. All the best, mate.
Thank you, Paul.
What Really Happened in Wuhan is her book. The documentary is available on demand on Foxtel. killer in the bag.
Front centrally, we're going to watch exhibit number 82. This is a version of the drone footage that was introduced by our expert James Armstrong yesterday. And I'd like to be able to put this TV centrally so everybody can see it. So you can let us know if you're able to see it when we move it, please. Oh, come on. As we play this video, ladies and gentlemen, jury, I'm going to direct your attention to this location, which is at the front end of the Duramax. There's an individual here on the sidewalk who's in a wheelchair, and there's a little bit of a gap there between that individual and the Duramax. I'd like you to keep your eyes on that location. Before we begin the video, Mr. Rittenhouse, are you able to see this video okay? Yes. All right. Please go ahead and play that. Please play that again, and we'll pause and we'll be ready to begin. Pause. So, Mr. Rittenhouse, you told us earlier everything that you did when you first got to this location, correct? Yes. What you didn't tell us is that right here on the video, thumb raised. Don't you?
I can't see it.
You know what? This is a nice 4K TV. I'm going to turn it a little bit towards you. Are you able to see that screen okay?
I don't think all the viewers can see it now.
I want to be able to play it for the defendant to be able to see it up close.
I understand. I'm just thinking of if perhaps he could take the chair that would be off or something. And you want to have it there as well?
Would you, would it be easier, Mr. Rittenhouse, if you came and stood a little closer to that screen? Is that the same?
Well, you know, and you're using the pointer, so we want to all be looking at the same TV.
Okay.
Okay.
Would it be appropriate for Mr. Rittenhouse to come stand closer to the TV?
As long as he doesn't flag the jurors, he and Mr. Richards can go over here.
All right, let's, I'll move this back.
Stand right down. Don't
Let's go back to the beginning of the video, please. I'm going to tell you when to pause.
No one's out.
Pause. Mr. Rittenhouse. You just came in the screen, put the fire extinguisher down, and now you're trying to find the raise, don't you? Let's play it one more time. Pause. Mr. Rittenhouse, can you see in that video that you raised your weapon and pointed it at someone? Let's play it one more time. Your Honor, just answer your question. He says he can't see, so I'm trying to help him see. Go ahead. Pause. Pause the video.
It doesn't look like I raised my rifle. It looks like my shoulder's up, but my rifle's pointed downward.
Thank you. All right. So your testimony today under oath is that you have no memory of raising and pointing your rifle when you first got to that location. Is that right?
Yes.
You see yourself put the fire extinguisher down.
I see myself drop it. Yes.
Let's play Exhibit 84 now, please. Go ahead and play. Pause. In this video, at this point, Mr. Rittenhouse, you have turned around and you are pointing your weapon at Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
And there's a point. Let's continue the video, please. All right, let's pause. Go back and start at the beginning again, please. Pause. Can you go back about half a second, please? Go back just a little more, please. Why don't you go back to the beginning and play, and I'll try and walk you a little bit. Pause. There's a point where Mr. Rosenbaum is running after you, where he raises his hands and leaps up in the air, correct?
I wouldn't say he leaped in the air. I'd say he continued to run at me. He just threw his hands up.
He threw both of his hands up in the air, right?
Yes.
And you could see that he was unarmed, correct?
Yes.
Please continue the video. Pause. Joseph Rosenbaum never touched you in any way during that incident, correct?
He touched my gun.
He didn't touch your body in any way, did he?
No.
He didn't kick you?
No.
He didn't punch you?
No.
Other than that plastic bag, he didn't throw anything at you?
No.
He didn't have a gun on him?
No.
He didn't have a knife on him?
No.
He didn't have a chain on him?
No.
He didn't have a bat on him?
No.
He didn't have any weapon of any kind, correct?
Other than him grabbing my gun. No.
Well, he didn't have possession of that gun. You did, correct?
I was holding it. Yes.
And it was strapped to your body, correct?
Yes.
At all times during this incident, you retained possession of your AR-15, correct?
Yes.
Can we please play exhibit? I apologize, Brian. I don't know if I mentioned this one earlier. I think it's 83. It's the full speed version of what we just saw. That was 84 just now, right? Okay, let's play 83, please. Mr. Rittenhouse, while you're watching this video, I'd like you to tell me if you see Mr. Rosenbaum jump up in the air with his hands up, okay?
Okay.
Pause. Go back to the beginning, please. Play again. Pause. Right before Mr. Rosenbaum disappears behind that car, did you see him jump up in the air with his hands out?
No, I saw him do something like this.
That was a reaction to you pointing the gun at him, correct?
Yes, but he kept running at me, so it didn't deter him.
But it slowed him down a little bit. He does this sort of jump with his hands in the air when you're pointing the gun at him, right?
No, he continues to gain speed on me.
Now let's play exhibit 86, please. Did you slow down?
Did I?
Yeah.
I turned around. I may have slowed down a little bit.
It looks like you slowed down before you even turned around.
Yes.
You characterized Mr. Rosenbaum as advancing on you, speeding up towards you, but you actually slowed down, didn't you?
Because of the people around the cars, yes.
But after the shooting, you run around those cars and head back towards the direction you originally wanted to go to, right?
Yes.
So those people didn't stop that, did they?
They weren't there after I I shot Mr. Rosenbaum.
They scattered after you fired your gun 4 times, didn't they?
Yes, they weren't there anymore.
And you've heard Dr. Kelly's testimony that the first gunshot from you, Mr. Rosenbaum, caused Mr. Rosenbaum to start falling to the ground. Did you hear that testimony?
I did.
And then you continued to fire 3 more shots into him after that, didn't you?
I continued to fire until he was no longer a threat to me.
When he's falling to the ground in front of you, he's no longer a threat to you. His pelvis is broken, right?
I don't know.
But he's fallen to the ground, isn't he?
I saw him lunging towards my gun, and I remember his hand on the barrel of my gun.
Because he was trying to push you out of the way so you wouldn't shoot him. What was the risk to you of death or great bodily harm at the moment you killed Joseph Rosenbaum?
If I would have let Mr. Rosenbaum take my firearm from me, he would have used it, killed me with it, and probably killed more people if I would have let him get my gun.
Mr. Rosenbaum never said anything to you about taking your gun, did he?
He didn't say anything, but he tried to take my gun.
And whoever's got that gun is a threat to everyone else?
If he would have taken my gun, he would have used it against me.
Let's break that down. First of all, you had already prevented him from taking your gun by running away and doing that little dip and dodge that Mr. McGinnis talked about, right?
He was still coming after my gun.
But you could have kept running. You could have turned back around like you did, couldn't you?
No, I couldn't have.
You have the gun strapped to your body at this moment, correct?
Yes.
The strap is designed to keep that on your body so it doesn't come off, correct?
To help retain it, yes.
And you have both hands on the gun, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Rosenbaum has never said anything at all about wanting your gun. You never heard him say anything about that, correct?
I have.
He never said anything to you about using that gun at all, correct?
I don't know what Mr. Rosenbaum was thinking when he tried to grab my gun.
You just assumed that he was going to use it, that he was going to try and take it from you, first of all. And then you assumed he was going to try and use it on you.
If I would have let Mr. Rosenbaum get my gun, he would have killed me.
But you had already pointed your gun at him.
Yes, because he was chasing me.
Did you want him to think that you were going to shoot him?
No, I never wanted to shoot Mr. Rosenbaum.
Why'd you point it at him if you didn't have any intention of shooting?
He was chasing me. I was alone. He threatened to kill me earlier in that night. I didn't want to have to shoot him.
But you understand how dangerous it is to point a gun at someone, don't you?
I pointed at him because he kept running at me, and I didn't want him to chase me.
But you understand how dangerous that is, don't you?
I pointed at him because he was chasing me.
I'll ask the question a third time, Mr. Rittenhouse. You understand?
No comment. Just ask your question.
You understand how dangerous it is to point a gun at someone, correct?
Yes.
You understand that that puts someone else in fear that they're about to be killed, right?
He was chasing me.
You understand that when you point your AR-15 at someone else, that may make them feel like they are about to be killed by you, correct?
Mr. Rosenbaum was chasing me. He said he was going to kill me if he got me alone. I was alone. I was running from him. I pointed at him, and it didn't stop him from continuing to chase me.
Did you hear my question?
Yes.
Yet you chose not to answer. My question is, you understand that when you point your AR-15 at someone, it may make them feel like you're going to kill them, correct?
He asked if it would affect someone that way so as to perhaps deter the person.
you understand my question?
I do.
Can you please answer?
I did. I said, Mr. Rosenbaum was chasing me. I pointed my gun at him, and that did not deter him. He could have ran away instead of trying to take my gun from me. But he kept chasing me. It didn't stop him.
Mr. Rittenhouse, you're telling us that you felt like you were about to die, right?
Yes.
But when you point the gun at someone else, that's going to make them feel like they're about to die, right? That's what you wanted him to feel. No, you wanted him to get the message from you that if you come any closer, I'm going to kill you. That's why you pointed the gun at him, right?
I pointed the gun at him to deter him from. I pointed the gun at him so he would stop chasing me. That's why I pointed the gun at him.
Because if you point the gun at him, you were hoping he would stop chasing you because he would get the message from you that if he keeps coming, you're going to kill him, right?
I didn't want to have to kill Mr. Rosenbaum.
That's not the question I asked.
It seems argumentative, Mr. He said it serves the use of purpose expansion. It does seem argumentative.
You intended, in that sequence we just saw, you intended to point your gun back at Mr. Rosenbaum in the middle of the parking lot, right?
I pointed at him so he would stop chasing me, but he didn't stop.
That was your intentional decision to point at him. That wasn't an accident.
The jury cannot see you.
I thought we moved it. I'm sorry.
No, so please just get it out of there.
The point I'm trying to get at, Mr. Rittenhouse, is that that wasn't like an accidental turning around and it just happens to be pointing in this direction, much like I'm just happen to, wave this around. You made an intentional decision in the middle of that incident to turn and point the gun at Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
And you can understand why that would make someone fearful for their life, right?
But he continued to chase me after, so no, I can't.
It didn't work.
It didn't stop Mr. Rosenbaum from chasing me.
And even after you shoot him one time and he starts falling, you continue to shoot 3 more times, right?
I continued to shoot until he was no longer a threat to me.
And then after that, you run around and he's lying there, face down on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And you're a medic, correct?
I have first aid training, yes.
Where you proclaimed yourself that night to be a medic, an EMT. You told everyone that, right?
Yes.
And you had your medic bag with you, correct?
Yes.
And this location is right across the street from a hospital, isn't it?
Yes.
But your first thought was run away.
My first thought was to help him.
You didn't do anything to help him. You didn't do a single thing, did you?
The crowd started to scream, get him, get him, get him. And I didn't want to stay there with the crowd building and the mob advancing on me.
Were you surprised that a crowd would react that way when they just saw you shoot someone?
I don't know.
When you stood over Mr. Rosenbaum's body, did you know?
Go ahead.
When you stood over Mr. Rosenbaum's body, did you know whether he was dead or alive?
I didn't.
Did you know whether or not it was possible at that moment to try and save him?
I wanted to help Mr. Rosenbaum. And if the crowd wouldn't have started screaming to get him, get him, get him, I would have stayed and did everything I could to help Mr. Rosenbaum. But the crowd just started to chase me and scream at me.
Let's play, can we have exhibit 14, please? At the 3-hour, 58-minute, and 45-second mark.
replay from here, please?
And blindside. So the orders you hear about Yellowknife County, it was white woods. I guarantee you, man. We got good, baby.
Plus, after you fired your 4 shots at Mr. Rosenbaum, there were 3 more gunshots right after that, right?
Yes.
And those were coming from very close to where you were, weren't they?
Yes.
They were coming from right here, the south side of the 63rd Street car source, right alongside 63rd Street on the north side of 63rd, right?
Yes.
You didn't react at all to those gunshots, did you?
That time my audio was still going in and out partially.
But again, my question is, you didn't react at all to those, did you?
Not that I could see.
Let's continue, please.
Shot him, man. Shot him. Shot him, man. He laid him out. He laid out, y'all. Laid him out.
No one in that crowd yells, "Get him," or anything threatening towards you until after you start running away, right?
No.
You had time in that moment to make a phone call, didn't you?
I called Dominic Black, yes.
You could have called 911, right?
Yes.
But you chose to call your best friend, right?
Called the first number of my phone.
Is that quicker than 3 digits, 911?
I don't know.
And then you started running.
Yes.
And the first person you encounter as you're running is Jason Lakowski, correct?
Yes.
This is a person that you had barely known for 15 minutes that night, right?
Yes.
And you told him you didn't shoot anyone, correct?
No.
You heard his testimony about that, right?
Yes.
Can we please play exhibit number 12? While we're getting that ready, you talked earlier about this crowd and what they were saying, and you felt like they were coming after you. You had time to stop and have a brief little talk with Jason Lakowski, didn't you?
I stopped for a second and asked him to help me get to the police.
Even with this crowd on top of you, as you describe it, you still had time for that, didn't you?
For a second. I stopped for a second.
Let's play exhibit number 12, please.
So there was like 6 shots.
Back up 10 seconds, please. Go ahead. Pause. There are people in the crowd that are asking you why you just shot someone, right?
Yes.
And you told him he had a gun.
The the time I was a little dazed and I was thinking of Mr. Zabinski with the pistol he had at the Duramax.
So you shot Mr. Rosenbaum because Joshua Zawinski had a pistol?
No,
You don't get to shoot someone else. You don't get to shoot someone else because someone else has a gun, right?
no,
But you told the crowd he had a gun, didn't you?
that's what I said.
And that wasn't true. Mr. Rosenbaum never had a gun, right?
He didn't have a gun.
Now, can we please play exhibit number 3 at the 1 hour, 17 minute, and 10-second mark? One more. Facebook live stream that night.
You shot somebody? Who shot?
Pause. You told Mr. Grosskreutz you were going to the police, right?
Yes,
And then you said, I didn't shoot anyone, right?
I can't really make out what the last part of the words were saying.
Do you remember what you said?
I remember saying, I think I said I had to.
Let's play that back 10 seconds and play it again, please.
Hey, what are you doing? You shot somebody? Who shot? Who shot?
Pause. Pause. What's your exact words? I'm going to the police. I did not shoot anyone.
That's what I remember from that night, but watching that, it sounds like I said I didn't.
That, again, was not true. You just had shot someone, correct?
I did.
Why didn't you tell the truth?
I was being chased by a mob, and I don't really remember that interaction very well.
Let's play Exhibit 5, please. This is the BG on the scene video. Go ahead. Pause. Now, we've heard a lot of testimony about this person who comes up behind you with something and hits you in the head. We've heard about Anthony Huber's first approach to you with his skateboard, correct?
Yes.
You testified that after a few more feet, you felt lightheaded and you stumbled. That's what you told when your attorney was asking you questions, correct?
Yes.
No one knocked you to the ground. You lost your own balance, correct?
I was hit to the point where I stumbled.
You said in response to your attorney's questions that you stumbled because you were lightheaded. You remember telling us that?
From getting hit, yes.
You were lightheaded because you had been running and you were being chased. That was why you were lightheaded, right?
That and being hit, yes.
Let's continue. Pause. There is an individual who comes at you and jumps towards you and attempts to kick you, correct?
He does kick me, yes.
And you fire 2 shots directly at him with your AR-15, correct?
Yes.
You intended to hit him with those bullets, correct?
I intended for him. Yes.
At that close range, it's a miracle that you missed, right?
I don't know.
You intended to kill him with those shots, didn't you?
No.
Did you even care whether or not those 2 rounds were going to kill him?
I didn't want to have to kill anybody that night.
In this moment, you're making a deliberate decision to pull the trigger twice, correct?
Yes.
That wasn't an accident. That was your conscious decision, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you're firing an AR-15 at close range to this individual, correct?
Yes.
You knew full well that if you hit him with 1 or both of those bullets, it could kill him, right?
There's that possibility.
If you hit him with one of those, wouldn't you agree it's a pretty strong likelihood you're going to kill him?
I don't know.
Did that even factor into your mind at that point? Did you even care whether you were going to kill him or not?
I didn't want to have to kill anybody. I was being attacked. That's why I shot him. But shot at him.
You shot at him with the intent of hitting him and killing him, correct?
I didn't want to kill anybody.
Then why are you shooting at someone with an AR-15 at close range if you don't want to kill him?
Because he's attacking me and stomping my face in. Jumping and kicking my face in.
That you didn't see any weapons on that person, did you?
No.
You didn't see a gun.
No.
You didn't see a knife.
No.
You didn't see a bat or a club.
No.
You didn't see a chain.
No.
All he uses is 1 foot, correct?
Yes.
Let's continue the video. Pause. You've just shot a round into Anthony Huber's chest, right?
Yes.
Now, up until this moment, and probably for the rest of that evening, you didn't know the name Anthony Huber, did you?
I did not.
Up until this moment in this evening, you had never had any interaction with him, took any notice of him, fair to say?
Yes.
And when you shoot him, he's got his skateboard in his hand?
Yes.
You didn't see any...
At T-Mobile, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between the most 5G coverage and great value. So we unleashed the 5G experience on Magenta Max with 4 times more 5G coverage than Verizon and unlimited premium data. Only at T-Mobile.
There was a time when the spirit of the season embraced us in its welcoming glow, when wondering eyes widened with enchantment, and with every tinkling bell, another cherished memory was made. There was a time that brought us closer to one another and to our better selves. It was a most wonderful time. It was Christmas, this Christmas, at Biltmore. Experience Van Gogh alive at Biltmore.
When I find something I like, I stay with it. Clear Eyes. Your eyes deserve the best. From one original to another, be your own wave. Sunships.
you.